Good morning from Buffalo Nickel Vineyard. My name is Frederick Hamilton, and I'm going to give you all a tour of the vineyard site, what we're going to be planting where, what we already have going, all the changes coming to this little piece of property. So we'll start with the thing that makes every vineyard kind of unique and special in their own way, and that is their terroir. It's the combination of what's going on under the ground with their soil and what's going on above the ground with the weather, really. And so we'll look at soil first. So over here we're in an area in southwest Washington that everywhere has an interesting geological past, but this area was a glacial refugium, which means there was no glacier here during the last ice age. It was a big river. So you see we're standing on a hill, and then down there about a 60-foot drop in those fields, that was a giant river that handled glacier melt off. And then these areas up here were kind of like your gravel bars, the area where the river pushes its big rocks and deposits those sort of things in the lower areas where the sediment, the really fertile soil is. So we have a couple inches of topsoil that we've gained since that ice age, but underneath it you can see how gradual of a shift this is, where we just moved some heavy equipment across it a few years ago, and then bam, great big rocks. It's like that for about 80 feet down, which is much farther than a grapevine root will go. They go about 30 feet. And so what will happen here is the grapevines will develop extensive root systems. They'll grow in between these rocks, looking for the little bits of nutrients in the soil. And as a result of those huge root systems, they'll bring up all sorts of complexity, essentially, minerality, things like that, into the grapes themselves, which will impart into the wine and boost our wine quality. So kind of with grapes, like the poorer the soil, the better the wine is the idea. And we've got some really poor soil here, so that's fantastic. Yeah, that's the soil. So the other half of terroir is the weather. You're looking at December 1st, 2019 here in southwest Washington. It is about 40 degrees out. It's ever so slightly raining. It's pretty temperate, though. It gets wet here, but it doesn't get really, really cold. And then in the summertime, we might break 100 degrees, maybe 2 to 5 times throughout the summer. Really kind of our average summer day is about 75 to 80 degrees. And that makes us pretty temperate. It makes us a lot like Southwest Germany. There's a metric called growing degree days, and we're just about 100 points off from them, which is not much. And the same thing for Alsace in northern France. We are a little bit colder than them, but not much colder. So we believe we can grow varietals that grow in both of those places, and then colder weather varietals as well. Now let's talk about varietals and future plantings. What you're looking at here are 200 grapevines that I planted back in 2017. It's 100 each of Cabernet and Merlot. The clones for those are a little more suited to Northern California than they are to here. I had moved home and I kind of rushed to put them in and didn't do a ton of research, but we've learned a ton from them. They can tell us a lot about the soil, a lot about the weather. They can tell us about the vegetative cycle and what root stocks are working out well. You can tell a lot from planting any vine in the early stages, whether it ripens or not. And these, I still believe that we can ripen these every 4 out of 5 years. We had an exceptionally cool summer this last year, and we ripened them super, super late. And they're very young vines, so they probably weren't ready to ripen anyway. But we did get ripe grapes much later than I would have liked. So I believe every 4 out of 5 years we'll be able to ripen these, both the Cab and the Merlot. And we'll do something special with those. We won't have a consistent vintage with them, but we'll put them out for our wine club or in our tasting room, and hopefully be able to make something that ages well as well. So let's take a look at the land we're planting next year. Over on this side of the vines, we'll be planting 800 each of Riesling, Gewürztraminer, and Pinot Gris. Riesling and Gewürztraminer are very common grapes in Germany. We're very confident we can ripen those. I'm excited to see what this rocky soil will do with those varietals. I think we've got really good things coming there. Pinot Gris from Alsace. Well, Pinot Gris is grown a lot of places. It's called Pinot Grigio in Italy, but it is grown extensively in Alsace, where it makes this kind of almost a pungent wine, a very concentrated, herbaceous and floral honey sort of wine. And so we're hoping we can do that variety justice as well. So on this side of the existing vines, we have space for about 600 new vines, and we're going to plant Pinot Noir here. We've got a nice German clone of that coming in, so it's fitted for cold weather. And Pinot Noir it's a really popular grape variety. It grows well in a lot of different climates across the globe. Its home really is Burgundy in France, but it's also grown in Champagne. It's one of the 3 grape varieties that make up Champagne, the other 2 being Chardonnay and Pinot Meunier, which we'll be planting the next year. But we are looking to make kind of that cold weather expression of Pinot Noir. Hopefully we'll be turning it into a blend of Champagne. Maybe we'll be producing it on its own. This won't be the only plot of Pinot Noir on the property. But yeah, we're excited to have a French red varietal going in along with our German and Northern French white varieties. On the south side of the vineyard, we are very lucky to have a south-facing slope. I'm not sure if you can see how well it slopes, but it does at about a probably 20-degree angle, which is great because the sun, of course, goes along the equator at our southern axis, and so this area will get sun exposure all day long. We're looking to plant our Chardonnay and Pinot Meunier over here, probably, as well as a little more Pinot Noir, maybe down a little bit on this side, and really capture that sunlight. That's a huge advantage we have, and we're excited to use it. Another note on the house across the street, that house is in my family. I will inherit it in part with my brother and sister someday, and I'm hoping to someday turn that into a restaurant. I'll rent it from the family company and turn that into kind of our venue. We could do a wedding venue over there, do banquets, do a restaurant, those sorts of things. There's a couple huge bedroom suites in it that we could rent out especially for weddings as well. We could have a bridal suite and a groom suite before the wedding, and then, and then behind it, you can't really see it right now. I'm sure I'll show you a better view of this as well as the inside someday. That is a historic barn that's on the property. And it's pretty well a blank canvas on the inside. So that's going to be my production facility, and I'll probably have my tasting room in there in the early years before I'm ready to expand into the house. And I hope it's a long time before I can expand into the house because my grandmother still lives there. So I'm really hoping that's distant future. Now, where our gravel bar here floats down into what used to be the huge river bottom is a big east-facing slope. Southeast really right here, and then it goes east a little farther ways up there. So this area, the sun sets here about 45 minutes before it sets anywhere else, but it does get some more intense sunlight in the morning, which will be an interesting expression. We'll probably have a lot of different varieties over here. Definitely the cold weather ones. Definitely, we're talking Sylvaner, Gruner, Veltliner, more Riesling, more Gewürztraminer, things like that we know we can ripen without those last 45 minutes of sun. But it'll give us a totally different perspective on a little more sunlight in the morning and a little cooler, a little quicker in the afternoon. And we're excited to plant that. That'll be our 3rd year of planting. Down over that way, we're saving enough area for about 1,200 vines. And that is kind of yet to be determined. We might do some experimental varietals, or we might learn something from the vines we have planted and plant more of those, but we're holding off on making that decision for now. Oh, one more thing. The name of Buffalo Nickel Vineyard. I know that might be a little confusing up in Washington State. We're not in the Southwest or in Yellowstone or anything like that. So this little piece of land, as well as the land across the street, that my grandparents have. There's another 50 acres of this same soil over here that we're excited we might expand to someday. We're going to see how this goes first. Was used as a buffalo ranch by my grandfather. And I collect coins. So therefore we have Buffalo Nickel Vineyard. Yeah, that's it. Thank y'all for following, and y'all have a great day. Thank you.